Hey, I got my typewriter. I've been working on it. It makes this noise. You hear that? It's like a little bit of a scratchy noise. It was significantly worse, and I think I figured out what the problem is. It's the silent return spring. That's what it's called. And I can put a video up of what that is, why it's making that noise. Any of you typewriter nerds? I don't know how many people are interested in typewriters like I am. I got this like last week, a couple weeks ago or something like that. And it's just been such a joy to use, and all of a sudden it just gave out on me. I had no idea why. But I'm not upset by that fact. Actually, I'm quite happy about that. Which is sort of like a weird mindset to have. It's not a normal mindset to have, but I think it's a good mindset to have. And I've been thinking a lot about work and my colleagues that I work with and all of that stuff. When something goes wrong, our first reaction, obviously, is to be a bit upset. And with this typewriter, when it stopped working, I was also upset. But these feelings don't last forever, right? The reason why we are upset is because immediately something isn't working anymore. Something that we had is now lost. And that feeling of loss, I think, is what triggers that the emotional response, the negative feeling. Maybe it's anxiety, like, what if I need this thing and it's not working right now? Am I going to be able to fix it or get it working in the future? Am I going to be able to replace it? All of these questions happen. It's like a small window into the chaotic world that we try to avoid so much. So, with that being said, after those emotions pass, it depends really heavily on the kind of person that you are, how fast that emotion is going to pass. Sometimes it doesn't pass at all for some people. And I've met people like that. The whole outlook is just that one emotion. And after a while, I think that emotion of anxiety or uncertainty transforms into boredom. It transforms into sort of just like a not caring anymore. Things are bad, they're always going to be bad. Who cares? It's not like I can do anything. And that is the opposite of a growth mindset. I remember in elementary school we talked a lot about what a growth mindset is. And I always thought, like, no duh, like why wouldn't people have a growth mindset? But it's not so obvious to everybody. I began to learn when I solve problems, or when I encounter problems. Sure, it's okay to have that initial negative response, but overall, you need to see the bigger picture and think, wow, the universe is putting before me an opportunity for me to learn. That's sort of how I've begun to look at the world. And recently, it's been the case, strikingly so, that I've realized things aren't good or bad anymore. They're just different. And you never know what is good and what is bad. That's sort of like the main idea of this whole thing that I'm talking about. You never, like, in traffic, I'll give it the example. Let's say you want to, like, somebody's trying to get in to your lane. They have their signal on. The nice thing to do would be to slow down and let them in. But what if you sped up and didn't let them in? What is the ethical landscape of that event? Well, the answer is, I'll just say it, it's unknown, it's undefined. You don't know all of the information needed in order to make that sort of value judgment or ethical judgment of the scenario. Because what if you slow down and you cause the person behind you who is distracted to get really close to you, and then he has to slam on his brakes? It's like, that's a possibility. There are a bunch of other unlikely possibilities that are going to happen, but that's just it. That's the thing. There are so many unlikely possibilities that can happen that the event that's probably going to happen is probably unlikely. It's like, so many things are possible in this world. It's like almost infinite. So you have a dartboard that has infinite possibilities on it, and you have a dart, you throw it at the dartboard, it's going to land somewhere. It's going to land somewhere, but every point on that dartboard is going to have an infinitesimal probability of getting hit. So we end up with this dart on the dartboard. You say it's right there. It's let's assign a decimal value to each point on that dartboard. Let's say I hit pi. I hit 3.141592653589793238462384626433832795. Let's say you hit that point. What's the probability that you hit that point? It's 0. It's essentially 0. It approaches 0. But you hit it anyway. How? If you were at that point and you were thinking to yourself, man, I wish I was going to be picked for this dart throw. I wish I was the point that was going to be hit. But obviously I'm not going to be that point because just the probability is so low. There's no way he's going to hit me. Man. And then you get hit. And you're like, wow, that was improbable. That was pretty much impossible. But the dart had to hit somewhere. And that's sort of like living in life. You know, there's the likeliest thing to happen to you will be an unlikely event. It will be an unlikely event. So, how do we cope with this? Well, you could take on a negative outlook, like I said, like, oh, these unlikely events are going to happen. No, I'm held up in traffic. Man, that wasn't supposed to happen. You know, somebody hit my car. All of these things. But you don't know if something is negative until you see the final result. And you're never going to get to the final result because you're going to die before you get there. Because the final result is probably the heat death of the universe or whatever. So what is that to say? Oh, I shouldn't have put this screw in. Stop worrying about things, man. Stop worrying about things. That's the main thing. I'm reading Hagakure. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. You can correct me in the comments if you want. But in that, it says that the way of the samurai, the book is about the way of the samurai. I should have said that. The way of the samurai is to charge into things without thinking of them beforehand and just do it. Just do it, man. Because if you don't do it, if you think too long about things, if you think at all about things, sometimes you're going to miss the opportunity that is optimal when it presents itself. So stop thinking about things, because you as a tiny-brained individual and me as a tiny-brained individual cannot calculate the whole surface area of any given situation. You cannot locate and describe all of the attack vectors of a given problem set. Does that make sense? So most of your existence should not be calculating things. It should be seeing, exploring, just do the thing and learn from that. Gain some wisdom. It is good to be able to think of things before they happen. It's good to be able to plan. And you should be planning for things. I'm not saying don't plan for anything, because making sure that 80% of the things are accounted for is going to lead you to a good outcome in the long run. That's going to be punctuality. account for things, you know? What else is that going to be? Honesty. There are some heuristics that you can use, you know, that facilitate this planning ahead. Like, if you're going to leave for a place, leave, you know, 15 to 20 minutes early, depending on how long it takes to get there. And you're going to be there on time because you left extra early. You're accounting for things that aren't supposed to happen. But so many things aren't supposed to happen that it's just probable that one of those things that isn't supposed to happen happens. You know, telling the truth. That's one of the big things for me. It's like, you should never lie. Why is that the case? Well, you can lie in the moment and it might solve a problem, you know, temporarily. But as soon as you start applying that way of thinking to a more broad, you know, more broadly, what am I saying? When you apply that to everything, you think it's okay to tell white lies? Sure, do that. See where it ends up. You're gonna realize quite soon that things often go super wrong because you're stupid and you can't calculate how bad the lie really is. Oh man. Oh, there we go. You don't know the repercussions of lying, and it's a lot easier to manage the repercussions of telling the truth because they're more easily calculated. So it's sort of like a problem of minimizing the amount of calculation that you need to do, such that you can live a happy life and do things based off of your intuition rather than your calculation. Because your calculation can only take you so far, and it will not take you as far as you want it to take you. It never will. So stop thinking. Now with this typewriter, man, it started making a squeaking noise. Still does a little bit, but it's significantly better. And that ended up being the, did I say this already? The silent return spring. And I had to take it all apart, figure it all out, watch a few videos, read the forum posts, and I located the problem. But it's, starting these things is like, it's like how art is. It's like starting a sentence and not knowing how it's going to be finished. That's what art is. And you gotta lead an artful life. If you don't have art in your life, what are you passionate about? Hello. So, sometimes it's good to be spontaneous and such. Because that is like the definition of art. And we should be more creative. You know. People definitely differ on this spectrum. Some people are more creative, some people are more regimented and tyrannical with themselves. So if you lean one way more than the other, I think you should make efforts to curb that and to balance yourself out into a well-rounded individual. Anyway, that's my spiel for today. I'm going to continue with this.